Good evening. Welcome to Beyond the Gatekeepers. I am Bishop Vanessa M. Brown. I am your host and moderator for this evening. I am excited to be here with you all, where we talk about theological and justice issues, current events from a justice-informed lens. And we are excited to be here with you on this evening. Thank you so much to our Facebook Live audience, to our YouTube audience, to our Instagram audience, to our X audience, to our LinkedIn audience on tonight. All of our social media platforms that you can find us, and our link tree is growing and growing, and we're so excited about what is happening. You can find us on the Beyond the Gatekeepers page, on Bishop Flunder's page, on the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries page, as it relates to Facebook, and then on YouTube you can find us on Beyond the Gatekeepers page, as well as on X and Instagram. So we're excited, and we say good evening, good evening, good evening to all of our family from everywhere. Of course, we want to know where you are watching from, and so we want you to make sure that you tell us your name, but also tell us that what city and state that you are from. I see people already, they get ready for it, and I love that you are prepared. And so we start off tonight. We're grateful to see Chuck Hunt here from Monroe, Louisiana. Always with us. Albert Reed, also from Colleen, Texas. Thank you. Lavinia Bean, good evening from Cape May. Glad you're here tonight. Bishop Sonia Williams is here from Atlanta, Georgia. Good evening. Rainbow Williams. Aloha from Big Island, Hawaii. Aloha. Michelle Wright, Pastor Michelle Wright. Good evening from Winston-Salem. God bless you. Sean Jenkins from Metro Atlanta. My little sister Jamaica Heron Ford. God bless you from Connecticut. Chella Belcher, greetings from Connecticut. Rebecca Baines Matthews from California. We say welcome and God bless you. Robin Ferguson, hello to you from Atlanta. Our good friend and brother, Pastor Siegfried Benton, Temple Hills, Maryland. Greetings to you. Linda Lillian Cruz DeBrill, welcome from Highland Park, New Jersey. Yes, Danbury, Connecticut is in the house. Prophet Teresa, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you're here tonight from Maryland. Gail Marie, Oakland, California, glad you're here. Yes, the people are here on YouTube. We have Daring Danielle from Portland, Oregon. So glad. Angelise Wallace, Maryland by way of Philly. That's how you do it. I love that. Darlene Pittman Connell, greetings to you from Queens, New York. Deidre Heron Slack from Minneapolis. We're just shouting out all the people that we see here with us on this evening. And certainly we ask that you do us a favor and make sure that you can share the conversation. We have Livonia Buck from Cincinnati, Ohio on Instagram. Y'all share the Instagram. That's fairly new to our platform for us. And so we want people to know that don't have any of these platforms and they only have IG, that they can watch this show as well from that. Lorna Blake, God bless you. From Bloomfield, Connecticut. I love Connecticut. Thank you so much. Ashley Woodard Henderson, thank you for being here with us. Ashley, let us know where you're from. Del Marche Sledge, Columbus, Ohio. And the people gather and they're coming. Maya Vasquez, thank you, Maya, for being here on YouTube. From Harlem, New York. This is a tremendous blessing. Deacon Ayana Fields from New Jersey here with us on YouTube. Janetta Speece from Durham, North Carolina. Ifasina Tamika L. Clear, blessings to you. Peace and blessings from Durham, North Carolina. Edwina Perez, Santiago from California. I love the way people are coming in the room. We are on all platforms, and we've got an incredible guest on tonight, and you all want to be a part of this great conversation. Before we bring our guest on tonight, we certainly want to bring Bishop Yvette A. Flunder. She is our presiding prelate for the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. She is the senior pastor of City of Refuge United Church of Christ, and we are so grateful to have the mother of a movement around the world with us tonight, Bishop Yvette Flunder. Please greet our online platform audience, Bishop.
Well, of course, it is my great joy, it always is, to be in authentic conversation and sharing with our audience in all the different settings and all the different ways we represent. And it is also a great joy to have a conversation this evening with someone that I've known for many years. And I'll tell you why I think it is so important right now. Because we need to find some ways, some cogent, clear ways,
Mm-hmm.
have peace in our spirits in
Yes.
complicated time and season that we are in. We're in a season that can not just mess with your head, it can mess with your heart, with your body, with your self affirmations. It can do all of those things because every single day we get a
Yes.
steady feed
Every
of
single day, Bishop.
issues, problems, turmoil, death, destruction. Every day, that
Every
kind of
day.
news, it people receive that and take it in more so than good news. People are reached a point where they're not even wanting to seek to hear good news.
You're so
What
right.
they're listening for is trouble and problems. And
Mm-hmm.
we're a steady diet. We're going to talk with someone this evening that is called by Spirit, I believe, to help us to regulate in so many ways the negativity that is currently in our atmosphere. We still got to do this work, but we got to do it in a way that it's not killing us and destroying us, taking our peace and our power. Gina is an incredible, incredible practitioner of
Indeed.
peace. And I am
Yes.
just so thrilled. We are so thrilled that she is here.
Yes.
And it's time, beloved.
And it's
Enough
time, Bishop.
salaciousness. We got enough. We have had days of it. It is really, no, we've had months of it. It
Yeah.
is really time for us to get a practice to help us. We got to
Yeah.
keep fighting, but we got to fight right. God
We
bless you.
do. I'm so glad you said that, Bishop Flunder, because before she comes on, we're coming up to an election where much more salaciousness is going to happen. And if we're looking at the polls, people are actually looking to vote for this man again. Like, we need to really come together and have practices of peace that bring us to liberation, not just on the outside, but on the inside too. So I am grateful for this conversation tonight. We still have Maria Harris here from Denver, E. Marcus Harper from Maryland, Esley Edwards again from Chicago, Chuck Rhodes is with us from the hospital in Columbia, South Carolina. God bless you, Dr. Chuck Rhodes. We're so happy that you're here with us and that God is healing your body. Sherry James, we say blessings to you from Reno, Nevada. Reverend Yolanda Hughes, welcome from California. Renee Aiken, we say grace and peace to you. Serrano Solis from LA. I just love the way it's going. And I don't want to hold off anymore for our guest. Our guest is Gina Breedlove. Gina Breedlove is a sound healer, a vocalist, composer, grief doula, author, and oracle for grace, and so much more. So very happy to have you here with us, Gina. We are,
Thank you.
and we invite you to greet our online platform tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed to be in this space with the two of you, and I'm honored. And I say, hey, fam, welcome to this evening's offering, and it's wonderful to be seen, and I'm grateful to be in the space with everyone present. Thank you.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
so wonderful because Bishop Flunder has known you for years. I've known you for years, just
Mm.
from my days at the Apollo Theater, and we have so many mutual friends in that arena.
Yeah.
And so somebody put something on Facebook, and I said, Gina Breedlove. I know Gina Breedlove. She have a book. Let me find out. And I just started doing the work that I do to investigate and find out. And certainly, I am glad that your team, you all answered me right away, and for this offering. And for many of you that don't know, the book is called The Vibration of Grace. I'm going to hold it up, and Pastor Sue will probably put it up again. The Vibration of Grace, Sound Healing Rituals for Liberation. And we are going to give away a copy of the book. There's going to be a free book giveaway courtesy of Gina Breedlove.
Yes.
And you must type the hashtag. You all know this hashtag, Beyond the Gatekeepers. So we want to get that in the flow, but we also want to get in the flow that we want you to purchase the book. That's going to be very important. We want you to purchase the book, and Pastor Sue is putting that down. We actually want you to go to a specific store and purchase it, because these are queer owners of this particular bookstore, Charis Bookstore in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we want you to purchase the book from. We know that these people are really for liberation, and so we might as well give them the business,
That's right.
right?
That's
Charis Bookstore,
right.
and we want to support them, and we want to shout them out, and thank them for being a part of the movement for liberation. And so you wrote this wonderful book. And so my first question to every author is, tell me why. Tell us why you wrote this book.
Thank you. You know, I was gently pushed by spirit. I was that hand at my back. I'd been doing this work for many years of holding space around helping folk to move grief out of the body, and the request for my time exceeded my capacity, and so, you know, I woke up with it in my spirit. Oh, it's time to write a book and to be of deeper service to a more expansive community. And you know, Bishop, it was the hardest work I've ever done. I had to go into these rooms within myself, and revisit places that I don't go to anymore, around my own grief, around rescuing parts of myself, to integrate so that I could be a whole being in the world. And quite literally, I moved so much grief every day to write this book, and I felt like I was in this sort of kiln. You know, I was being shaped by it and strengthened by it and anchored by it, by the grief letting process, and then by sharing it with community. So it wasn't my idea. I mean, I know y'all know. I woke up with it on my spirit, and then I am in a profound practice of obedience. And so you know, I knew that if it was for me to do, then the way would open. Yeah.
And indeed, it did open, and we're so grateful and appreciative. You break this book up into 4 different parts.
Yes.
And so, just in reading it, every part is essential and it's important. You give us rituals and affirmations. That's why I know that people need to get this book. Bishop Flunder started it off with such a profound statement by saying that this is something that we will need, because our lives are filled with salaciousness through social media, through the television and broadcasting so much that we need to find ways to center ourselves. And you've given us an avenue. And so I so appreciate that. And I want you to talk about it, and then I'm going to have Bishop Flunder also come into this. I want to talk about that first chapter, which
Mhm.
is foundation for your sound practice. You talk about sound and your soul tones, the key of you, and then you give us sound and affirmation, because that defines our language for healing. So I want you to talk a little bit about that for us.
Thank you. You know, it is all of us emit sound. Everything makes a sound. And I share with folk that often the sound that you emit from your body is described as an energetic, right? You can feel when this person comes into the room, right? But I'm knowing that you are feeling and hearing and sensing the sound coming from this person's body, the ways in which there's a resonance, not just the texture and the timbre of your voice, but it's also your beating heart. It's Oh, it's all the experiences that you've had that you bring into a room. It's your vocation. It's who and how you love. You know, all of these things, all of these aspects of us creates a sound. And so toning the key of you is a way to source the tone or the sound or musical note that you can lean into for comfort, right? And it's matching your vibration. And folk already do it. Like we do it when we hear our favorite song, we crank it up in the car, we live for the chorus, right? We throw our heads back, and when that moment, this collection of notes moves through your spirit and you're singing, it lifts energy. It helps you to move any kind of grief or heaviness you might be feeling. It warms your spirit. It's because these tones, this sound, resonates with your being. And so in all of this, you know, I've been guided and taught by spirit to know. And so in the book, I move folk through, you know, we reference the C major scale because it is easily referenced. We particularly, you know, if you know, this that movie, The Sound of Music, the do re mi of it all. When you're learning to sing or you're taking any music lessons, we begin with do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And with the C major scale, I provide the notes for folk to lean into each note and see how it resonates in your body, right? Just to keep it simple, um, and um, and lean into each note, and then taking a word that resonates on a high vibrational level, like joy, like grace, like praise, you know, and finding the word that resonates in your spirit and joining the word, marrying the word with a tone. And it becomes a ritual that you can repeat, put on your phone, have it at the ready. You know, when you turn the corner, and there's this all of a sudden horror or challenge or grief. As Bishop Flunder said in the beginning, it's like we are saturated by it because we understand what's happening. We know what time it is on the clock of the world, as Grace Lee Boggs taught us. And so we need our rituals to come back into our bodies. And sound is an immediate way to do that. It's an immediate point of entry. And so the tone of you, working with these sounds, working with these tones, working with these notes, and finding the note that elicits a response from your body. And then leaning into it, either humming or toning it to yourself. Again, you can find it in music, having that song at the ready. Um, um, and then the affirmations help us to shift and essentially rewire narratives, you know, narratives around worthiness, narratives, of course, around deservedness, around faith, around hope, um, uh, to combat all of the messaging that we're receiving constantly around there's nothing we can do, our voice doesn't matter, and all of the things that trend toward despair.
Beautiful. Bishop Flunder, I know you're going to get on a C note. Go ahead.
You know me. First of all, the connection that we have, Gina and myself, has so much to do with something I was talking to somebody about earlier today. That music, sounds, tones are different from one language to the next, one religion to the next, from one family to the next. But basically, all religions, all families, all people that I know have and don't understand where it came from, by the way,
Right.
a sound and a tone. And I was talking to somebody earlier today. I said, you know, I was raised to clap on the two and the four. And when I clap on the two and the four, it feels like this is correct. So much so that people are intent on clapping on the one and the three. I'm trying to figure out what is wrong with you all. Why can't you Everybody knows that God moves on the two and the four. But
Indeed.
these are the things that have influenced my life and impacted my life since I was a young kid. So it's woven into me. And when my spirit really needs to sing,
Mhm.
and it needs to my my spirit needs to calm down sometimes the tension and the struggle that's in my soul, and it knows how to catch the right notes and the right rhythm that does bring that for me.
Yes.
And everyone, I believe, has that place you can go to
Mhm.
where you can touch that part where the scripture says in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs.
Mhm.
Now, that's what the scripture, the Bible scripture says. But I think that in just about every kind of faith, if you are blessed, as I and others have been blessed to go all over the world, I have seen people go into that place over and over again in so many different ways. You've heard me say how I was so impressed by the whirling dervishes,
Yes.
the Muslim folks who, and these were men with these incredible skirts,
Mhm.
and they can twirl and hum and speak words and sing words over and over and never trip over their own feet,
Yes.
never lose their place in the dance. And it is the way that they both calm themselves and the way that they pray.
That's right.
I think what's so important to say right now for me and for many of you who are listening, I think you need to grab hold to what that is for you. What is the song that is in your spirit that brings you calm?
Mhm.
What is the sound? What is the rhythm? What is it? Is it on the two and the four, which of course is correct as far as I'm concerned, or is it on the one and the three, or how is it? What comes up for you when you need to soothe your own soul?
That's right.
What is that? How does that attach itself to it? And it's when I hear our sister talking about this tonight, I am saying to you, and I'll say it again, that what you're saying is going to be extremely important for us in the days to come.
Yes.
Because we're going to pick up the news that we have to read. You can't ignore it to our peril. We ignore it to our peril.
Mhm.
We have to read what is going on right now in our world. And if you're like me, sometimes you pick it up to read it and you want to throw it across the room and watch cartoons or something, just anything,
Right.
because it can be so painful. But if you have a place to go and a way that you can speak to yourself in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs or whatever fills that void for you, you can, in so many words, love and command a certain kind of peace that will be necessary for us to think through and work through this complicated time without being destroyed by it. This
Amen.
is incredibly important for us in this time. Thank you so very much, Gina, for
Yes.
helping us to embrace the power that is already in us to
Mhm.
help us through these times. God bless.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. Very, very powerful from the both of you. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that other people have entered the room. And so we want to acknowledge Joy Roan and Colette Walker,
Hey.
uh,
Hey.
Renee Aiken again, Yvette Busby,
Mhm.
Hugh Patrick Hardeman, Germano Toussaint, Brandon Taylor Sides, and I want to say what he says. He says, even each planet has its own vibrational frequency. So it's no surprise humans need to align their frequency.
Indeed.
Also on Instagram, Phil Madeira. Thank you for being here tonight, Phil. We appreciate you. I'm going to move on because we're going to go deeper and deeper into this conversation. Of course, in a few minutes, we're going to ask if you have questions. You put the word question and then you ask your question as it relates to this particular book. And welcome Brenda E. Lee and Pastor Wilford Moore. God bless you both. Caretaking the self, because Bishop just touched on some of these things. Healing the harm. You said that earlier, Gina. Sound to release grief, giving us free. We need that. Like, there's so much grief on our planet. Yes, this is the age of Aquarius. We've moved into another planetary sign. We're 20 years going to be here in the age of Aquarius. There's so many things that are taking place, but grief has still moved along with a lot of people. You give us sound, you give us sound and soul retrieval, gathering all of yourself, and then you give us sound and repair, the vibrational power of true apology.
That's right.
Talk to us about that, please.
Well, please, I want to touch on grief letting circles, right? Sound to release grief, because the first sound circle that I've ever attended, I was 9 years old. And the mothers of my home church in Apalachicola, Florida, my father's people, they wouldn't have called it a grief circle. They called it, it was Thursday night, it was women's night. And I would sneak in from choir practice and witness weekly the mothers of the church sounding and singing into the younger women in the room. And these women would expel grief from their bodies. It would begin, as it begins with a moan and a hum, and it would just, I know, it would just start moving through the circle. And the mothers would get up and lay hands and then sing in the back of the neck and behind the heart and behind the liver, and tone and sing and rock and touch. And the women that they were ministering to would begin to wail. And this grief would just come pouring out of them. And it was the same every Thursday night. And it would go on for a little while, and then it would begin to quiet, and then folk would be talking about what they brought to eat and laughing and blowing their noses and fellowshipping, and then we'd have a feast, And so I got my vocation from when witnessing this work. It stayed with me. And when I felt called to do this grief work, I remembered the mothers of my church, who I imagine got it from their mothers and their mothers and their mothers. And one of my missions is to normalize grief in our communities, in our interwoven communities, because we know that grief is treated as anathema. Right. And we also understand, particularly in the community that I come from, which is the African-American community, that there are deep, profound wounds and reasons for grief suppression. So we have to unlearn it. We have to learn how to move and have this response to the horror that we're witnessing, and to our own grief and loss in our lives. But the thing of it is, the global horror that we're experiencing gets entangled with our personal grief, and we don't have discernment. We can't separate. And I believe that is why we want to go and numb and turn away, because we're not equipped. So the grief letting rituals feel profoundly important to me at this time, learning how to move what gets caught, the weight of the unsaid in the throat or in the chest and in the body. And I know that things that are not let ossify, right, and become something else, meaning that I know that there is a spiritual and emotional connection to all disease. And we can take care of ourselves. So caretaking ourselves is essentially placing our own hands on our body, the way we would a beloved, and the sound of our voices, the way we pitch our voices when we're trying to soothe someone, encourage someone, love someone else forward, turning that energy, making it a practice of gifting that to ourselves, and creating the space needed, creating the conditions needed to have that good cry, to wail, to take that time to lay out, and allow it to move through. I know that is what helps us to the lightness of being, right? That knowing of a lighter spirit. Um, so that is the aim, the anchor, the root of the book, and all the rituals come from there. So retrieval is the literal rescuing of yourself from contorted positions of harm. And you will find that ritual commonly, I think, in shamanism, but that happened in my home church, right? So all the interconnectedness of who we be shows up in these beautiful ways. These rituals that you can find, as Bishop Flunder was sharing, like around the world. There's a thread, there's a through line, of sound, of prayer, of movement. And so retrieval is a practice that you can do on your own, where you go back to happenings of harm and you take yourself back from the moment. So I share my own stories. I share stories that I've been given permission to share, of the folk that I've been graced to work with, and it's guided. It's step by step, helping folk to reclaim and remember, and also release.
Thank you for that. I'm going to let Bishop Flunder go, but I just want to say really quickly that what I know about grief and around grief is that just watching and just being in the church, people don't, at least the church I grew up in and some of the churches that I've gone to, people don't really want you to have grief. Right? They don't want you to grieve. They don't want you to be sad. They don't want you to, but if you don't let it out, then what is it going to do to your body? Where is it going to lodge at in your body if you don't release it? If you
That part.
don't let it go, if you don't let me holler and scream. That's why in church, and if the spirit is high and people are hollering and screaming, some of that is about grief, and we got to let people do what they have to do. And
That's right.
sometimes we got to do it with them,
That's
because
right.
we hold on to this grief like it is, like a little teddy bear, something that we need to hold on to, and really we need to process, and then we need to release. But okay, Bishop Flunder.
Oh, that's good. And it's an act of faith that somehow you won't be diminished
Hmm.
or destroyed
Right.
by allowing your grief to come all the way to the top and be released. It's there are times when people don't want to, because they learn to use grief as a companion
Yes.
and a desire to have it almost hold on to it, because it almost feels like an empowerment,
Hmm.
as versus something that is working hard to destroy you from the inside out. I earned this pain, you know what I mean?
Right.
And hell, I'm gonna hold on to it. It's that kind of I can never release, just like I can never forgive. And I have said many times, when I've been wronged by people, I'm not forgiving you for your benefit. I forgive you for mine.
Hmm.
And as long as I hold on to yours, then hold on to it, I'm allowing you to take precedent in my life and in my mind and my thoughts. And that is not faith. And I would speak to a number of people tonight who are holding on to your grief because you think you've earned it. Let me say something to you. Life will give it to you. There's always something that will come along that will cause you to grieve, but it takes courage to decide to let it go. And it takes faith to to adorn your life with these practices that will help you to release it. So, well, what will I have if I don't have my thing to be mad about? What will I have if I don't have my sorrow? Because of what I've been through, I'm never going to let. But
Yes.
you have to let it go, or your what's next is just simply not going to come. And even your what's next will be something to clap back on what happened before, if you
Mm.
understand what I'm saying. So the before will still be informing what it is that you have now been blessed to have and to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of a preacher friend of mine was talking one day, and I know Bishop Vanessa has heard me talk about this. I'm gonna say it anyway. Anyway, he was talking about people praying in a time of drought, Lord, send the rain. Lord, send the rain. Lord, send the rain. Lord, send the rain. Send the rain, Lord. We need some rain. The crops need some rain. The city needs some rain. The aqueducts need some rain. Lord, send the rain. And he came in, they were in the morning prayer, like 6 o'clock in the morning, early before work. And he came in and he said, "You all don't believe God. You all don't believe that rain is coming." Yes, we do. We get up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, pray for rain. He said, "You don't believe it. You don't believe rain is coming." And then he said, "If you really believed it, you would have brought your rain boots to prayer. You would have brought your umbrella to prayer. If you really believed it, you would release from yourself this idea that rain is not coming. So I don't need my umbrella and I don't need my boots. But if you really believe it, you would come here with your boots on
Mm-hmm.
and have your umbrella." Well, that the juxtaposition in my thinking and what it is that you're sharing with us, Gina, is the fact that to hold on to move on to the what is coming in your healing, there are certain things that we have to grab hold to, literally,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's our song, our prayer, our dance, our affirmation, our testimony. We have to hold on to something tangible.
Yes.
If we believe, then we can't be in both of those places simultaneously. I think you understand what I mean. That's just
Yes.
God send the rain. Oh God, we're not ever gonna get any rain. God send the rain. Oh God, we're not gonna
That's
ever
right.
get any rain. Why pull my galoshes out? Just not gonna, oh God send the rain. Well, go get your galoshes. And sometimes it's just this, Bishop Vanessa, sometimes going to get your galoshes is all that you need to do. Just so that you don't have to just keep coming to prayer and asking for rain. Just go get the galoshes, put them at the door, and know in your heart of hearts now that the rain is going to come. There is something so powerful about what is being shared with us. All of this is an act of faith,
Yes.
confidence
Yes.
that the help that I need, the medicine I need from the universe is going to come. And I'm with you, sister. That's what we need in this moment.
Thank you. Very, very powerful. I want to read a statement that someone made on YouTube. Said, if a nation is a collection of people, and if we've got so much grief among us not let out, what could our collective sound or song be if we were to heal? Sweeter than the national anthem for sure. I thought that was
Ashe.
powerful.
Yes.
Ashe. I want to say this to you, Gina, that you talk about the vibrational power of true apology. Can you
Yes.
say a little bit more about that?
Yes, I can. And I was privileged to go to Rwanda, to Kigali in 2018, and I went because I had read that in Rwanda they use the language, the Rwandan people use the language of victims and perpetrators to describe the folk who committed the heinous acts of horror and genocide, the Hutu folk, against the Tutsi tribe. And I'd read that the children of the victims were marrying the children of the perpetrators, and that they were figuring out how to exist in love, and in faith, and by joining up and integrating their economies, and their families, and and how they pray, how they worship. Oh, I just had to see it. I wanted to witness it, thinking that, knowing that I could learn something from this ritual, from these rituals, from what was happening, and bring it back to our country. And so part of what was a healing balm were the true practices of reconciliation and of apology. And so that those folk that were that had perpetrated the violence, finding the folk that they had harmed, or the families of the folk that they had harmed or killed, or um, the horror that they had inflicted, and apologizing for it and asking how they could make amends. And I got the opportunity to sit in circle with folk who were directly connected by the violence, particularly one man and woman who asked that I share their story, and so I do in the book. And she was 13 in 1994 when the genocide happened, and he was 19, and they had seen each other every day. They were neighbors, and were not politicized at all, but aware, dimly aware of growing hate speech and conflict. And so the day that the horror moved through their village, they lived just outside Kigali, like a brush fire. He took a machete and hacked at her body, and she survived by pretending to be dead, like so many people did. And it's a much longer story. And then, he surrendered. This went on for 3 months. The genocide went on for 3 months. He surrendered, went to prison for a few years. When he was released from prison, he heard that she was still alive, and he went looking for her. And so he went back to the village, and she would not see him, understandably. And he would go and stand in front of her home daily with his hands in prayer position, asking that she receive him. And so there are many organizations that do reconciliation work. The one that I was introduced to is called Reach Rwanda. And Reverend Philbert Kalisa heads Reach Rwanda, and he helped them. She went to see him, and he helped to facilitate an opportunity for them to sit together. And he apologized, and he asked her, "How can I make amends?" And it took time, and they worked together. And through the practices that they learned at Reach and being in community, I watched these two folk laughing and hugging and I mean, just leaning on each other when something was so funny. And he said that he and his wife will go and take care of her because of her wounds. She still has illnesses that come periodically, things that will flare in her body, and they will go and bring her medicine, and they will take care of her, and she is part of their family. And then I got the opportunity to lead them in a sound circle and lay hands on them, and her wounds are visible. You can see where the machete left its mark, and Grace guided me to tone into her wound, and I was overwhelmed by the beauty and the love and the peace that emanated from them. There was no rancor. I was the heaviest thing in the room, trying to manage and navigate my grief at the unimaginable. And they were just these two beautiful beings that had done this work and stay in this work. And it began for him with with her for reaching and asking for help, and his apologizing and asking, what may I do? What may I do? And so apologies are alchemical. It opens things. It moves energy. It makes things happen. And then in my personal life, I had a journey with my mother around apology, for the ways in which her leaving my family put us at risk, put me at risk. I was a baby girl. I was 5 years old, and the things that happen to you when your mom is not around, or sometimes even when your mom is around. And she and I, my mom and I, she's not in this realm anymore, but we went through that process of reconciliation, and it helped me to get myself back. you know, parts of myself that were caught navigating harm.
Powerful. So powerful. We were in Rwanda in 2019,
Right.
and we have a church there as well. And I'll tell you that one of the things that I thought about when I was there was how they even function around each other. But guess what? All of the issues that I'm thinking about in my head, they're mine. They don't belong to the Rwandan people.
Right.
They have learned to, they have really learned to move on. They have. I'm not saying that they don't have, maybe there's no thoughts, but I could tell you what, I didn't hear one person in the whole time that we stayed there talk about the atrocity that
Right.
happened in Rwanda. Not one single person. And I don't believe that that's something that's buried. I believe that they have made a decision to deal with it, deal with the grief. I believe that they've done that and they have moved on.
Yes.
Somebody might tell me something different, but just in my assessment, when we went to Rwanda, Bishop Flunder in 2019,
Mhm.
there was not that heaviness. It was not that energy of, oh my God, sometimes we allow things to linger. And it
Hmm.
Yes,
didn't seem like that's what they were doing as a people.
I agree.
Hmm. Hmm. You know, they stay in ritual. They stay in prayer. Ritual is my language for it, but they stay. And there's the Kigali Genocide Museum. You know,
Mhm.
you
Mm-hmm.
can go and visit and see, and they are determined that it will never happen again. And that their stories be shared. The group that I sat with, they said, please take our stories to America to
Yes.
tell the people what's possible. Yeah.
And we have a choice.
Yes. Yes.
If we pass through some horrible water like that, some horrible experiences, we have a choice, and it's really sort of an either or.
Mhm.
Either we're going to find peace at the end of it, or we're going to forever live in a cauldron
Right.
and suffer from it. And we have a choice.
Right.
I feel the same way about the ridiculous kind of genocide that is happening in our country, or what is happening in Gaza, I
Mm.
mean, and Israel.
Yes.
We have a choice. Both sides know what it is to be demeaned, diminished, and destroyed. And in both of these scenarios, people who came through Hitler as Jewish families, as European Jews, know what it is to have your people destroyed and killed. And
Yes.
then if those same people then go and destroy and kill others, where is the lesson? Where is the lesson?
Right.
Where is the lesson for the European Jews to attack Jews by religion, to attack the Palestinian Jews by birth? How does that work if nobody has learned the lesson? Well, what we're experiencing now is what happens when people haven't learned. If a group of people were diminished in Europe and put away and demeaned and came to this continent seeking a certain kind of freedom because they were small among the people that they were surrounded by, like the Irish were thought a certain way and diminished by the English.
Hmm.
And then you come to a new land, and then the first thing you do is diminish somebody else. It's as though your loss didn't teach you anything. That what could have happened,
Right.
to your point, is that they could sing together about that,
Mhm.
or decide that I will never perpetrate on someone what was perpetrated on me, because I'm going to be made whole, and then I'm going to do whatever I can to make you whole. If we could grab this teaching that Gina is sharing with us right now, and Uganda and Rwanda, in my thinking, is an incredible life lesson, because Bishop Vanessa is right. We have been right in the middle of the conversations,
Right.
like you have, and wondered what would have happened if that had happened with indigenous American people,
Mm.
the ones who came on the boats. What would have happened between the slaves and slaveholders? What would happen between the Republicans and the Democrats, for heaven's sake,
Mm.
if we were able to embrace what you are teaching us through your life's work and through your writing? Let there be peace on earth, the song says, but let it begin with me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love that. Another great song that
Yes.
carries a vibration. I love that.
Yes.
Gina, I've got to keep going because this book is so rich. So I want to again let you all know we're going to give away a copy. Hashtag Beyond the Gatekeepers if you want to win. But we also want to encourage you to purchase this book from Charis Bookstores in Atlanta. So Pastor Sue has already put it in the link, and we see that there. We want to make sure that we get as many books sold. And we know that these broadcasts live on, and so people can go back and watch them and they can hear this great conversation tonight. But this is something I wanted to talk about, which is sounding into the body.
Mm. Mm.
Sounding into the body. I think this is just so important. You talk about sound and vital organs, and then you go into the universe inside you, but you also talk about sound and cancer,
Mhm.
caretaking our cells.
Mhm.
And I really want you to say something about that. I know so many people who are battling with sickness in their body, even cancer. And I
Yes.
think that this would be, of course, I want them to get the book, so I don't want you to tell it all, but
Right.
I want you to give some hints so
Right.
that they could, say, hey, I need to get this book that this woman has written.
Thank you. I sounding into the vital organs and into the blood and into the cells and the cells within cells. Like the a part of that ritual is the understanding that this is my body, right? And when we get a diagnosis, often the feelings that rise because of our shaping, particularly, I only know this country, so the shaping around if there's a disease happening in your body, it's because of something you did or didn't do, and never honoring the conditions that create the stress or the toxicity that our bodies take in every single day, right? And so that chapter on sounding into the organs is a way to cradle and hold close and become more intimate in relationship with our body. My liver, my beating heart, my kidneys, my stomach, the long and the short of the intestines, right? Pancreas, spleen, the pineal gland, like my body being the home, the sacred home for my soul. In my tradition, in my practice of channeling this energetic and spirit of grace, I hear often that spirit is something that we share, right? Our spirit and the soul is the unique contribution that I make. Right, so my soul and then my spirit is how my soul flies. My soul connects with your soul, if I may. And so, in this sounding into my body, I'm caretaking the house for my soul, for my being. And so I've been privileged to work with many, many folk who have received a diagnosis around cancer, different kinds of cancer in the body, and guiding folk into places of loving that part of the body, not seeing it as the organ has betrayed me or I'm terrible or I did something wrong, but rather shifting that energetic to imagining sounding into a lesion on your liver. Imagine, like, how would you hold something close that you want to love and caretake. How do we do that with beloveds? And in the vibration of grace, these rituals guide you into these places and in these rooms of diagnoses where you can speak love, and faith, and hope, and grace into the body, the area of the body that's being affected by disease. I have had folk come to me with, I've been given 6 months, and here we are 6 years later, right? And like saying, listen, that's between you and God, right? When we exit this realm, I'm not being frivolous. Of course, you know that about disease, or flippant. But I am saying that we are not powerless in these diagnoses. We're not powerless to caretake our body. And so that's what that chapter does. It leads us into moving past what believing in, or putting our faith in what is being told to us by the person in front of us in that white jacket. And I don't want to be dismissive of anyone's protocols or their care. I'm just saying there is also power, that we also have power in those rooms. So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. We also have power in those rooms. I love that. And I hope that people have received that on tonight. I want to move on to sounding into the world and
Yes.
sound and language justice,
Ha.
multilingual grace, sound and climate change,
Yes.
us holding our world, and then sound in a new world. Wake up, everybody. There's so many things to riff off. Still using those that musical language. So many notes to hit
Yes.
that can reverberate and vibrate and change our frequency and lift us up. So, will
Mhm.
you tell us about sounding into the world, sound and language justice, and then I'm let Bishop Flunder chime in.
Yes, yes. Someone said it, put it in a chat talking about like what kind of songs would we sing or could we sing if we could join our voices together. And yeah, I see it happening. I see it happening all the time. I see us circling up and sounding and singing and using our best words to love each other forward, and I love that. I'm encouraged by it. And I want to join my voice with that chorus, and sounding into the world is just that. It's speaking in the affirmative what is possible, for us. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, right? Because I have power, and how I see and what I say and how I love will move things. Right. Our folks said it, don't put your mouth on that, right? Don't speak into being what you don't want to have breakfast with. My grandmother would say that all the time. And so speaking into being, it's this practice of simultaneity, right? Of seeing the horror, of acknowledging it, and also loving forward and visioning and speaking what is possible, and letting that be where I kneel, essentially. All the metaphors, where I root, where I anchor in what is possible while also seeing what is happening. And so sounding in the world is affirming that. There are rituals and affirmations for walking meditations, honoring and affirming beauty, understanding how I connect to how my body, how the veins in my body look like roots, right, of a tree, right? Like very the patterns in things, fractals, like how my body connects to the universe at large. And so there are rituals to help us identify and know that we are that, and that climate change, which is real, real, as we know, is not something that I can't affect, that I can't do something about. Me, can't do something about. And then there's a whole section on organizations that are doing the work of climate justice. Climate justice is making sure that those folk who suffer the most from climate change but do the least amount of damage to the environment are taken care of, are lifted up, that we talk to and talk about and speak to the fact that countries like America and China, like, who are the culprits, right? for poisoning the air and the water. Like where's the money? Follow the money. Like who gains the most from the denigration of our planet? And so there are organizations that we can align our power with, and there's so many ways to do that. And so that is there as well. Sounding into the world is co-creating the world that we want for our children's children's children. And so there are rituals and a pathway to that. Wake up, everybody. Sekou Sundiata, you brought that memory. Sekou Sundiata was like this incredible Renaissance man, poet, teacher, guide, mentor in my life. And Sekou used to say to me that we're living, and this is back in 2007, that we're living in these all of a sudden type times, right? And Sekou is no longer with us. But his thing was, you've got to stay ready, right? If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, right? And so staying ready by doing your rituals, by doing your practices, by leaning into the things, the prayer, the poem, the psalm, the song, the tone, the hum. Like, what is the thing that helps you come back to yourself in an instant? Because that's where we are. Like, it's happening. Life is happening quickly, and any newspaper or image or social media things in clip, seeing things and taking it into the body. Like, how do I preserve this glorious house, called my flesh, called my vital organs, called my blood, called my bones, right? And so that's what that's about. Like, what is it? What is your thing? Here's a bunch of what I use, and then take this and improve on it or shift it or make it, tailor it to your access needs. Like, what is it? So that's what that is about. It's about staying ready, staying ready, as Bishop Flunder, please let me say, I just love the sound of your voice. I always have. Like, when I hear your voice, I go, like I lean in. And so, like, this year, fam, we could just talk about 2024. What is here and what is coming? Like, how do we stay inside of what we know? How do we stay close to love, peace? How do we anchor and ground in it while craziness is happening? Because craziness is afoot. And so that's what these rituals will guide you to. Rituals will guide you to that prayer. How you take a knee, how you honor, like all of these things will help us to stay embodied.
Bishop Flunder.
My God, that's like we need to have a revival or something. It's just
It's true. I'm just sitting here thinking about, I'm just imagining something that we can put together, something that I can put together with Gina in it, but around music and sound and
I'm so
you,
there.
and
Oh yeah.
just like I can just see this whole thing about this moving in a really good way, and I'm just gonna keep thinking about it and meditating on it, and I know there's something that's gonna rise.
A whole new concept of morning prayer. I even think in our conferences, that maybe we need to think of something where we actualize while we're asking. We're asking. We do a lot of asking, but I don't know if we do a lot of actualizing of speaking things, as the scripture that says, that are not as though they are,
That's
even
good.
before we see them. You know what I mean? That we can believe that they really do exist. That's praying in faith. That's the But there was
So
so
good.
hold on to that, Bishop Vanessa. I'm thinking about
I am.
staying in the work, envisioning a positive end is very hard for most people when you're in the heat, when you're in the fiery furnace. It is difficult sometimes to vision the end of this sorrow or this struggle. But what we're being taught by Gina tonight is that we have to hold these things in tandem.
Yes.
I have to be able to be fully aware that we are in a mess,
Yes.
and simultaneously fully aware that we are going to survive it, or that it is going to work somehow together for good. And having those two realities in tandem is the definition of faith. That is faith in action. That is the actual, tangible definition of faith and hope. That's the miracle, I believe, in believing that there is a power both within us and around us that is greater than any of the things that are seeking to destroy us. What is the point?
That's right.
What is the point of praying to a God that you don't believe is listening?
Yes. Yes. And that's not going to answer.
It's never going to answer. You're just
That's
always going
right.
to be in a pit, you know? It's like, I see it like the three Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace. Said, well, well, here's the deal, King. You know the story.
Mhm.
You're going to throw us in this furnace. But, let me just explain to you that the one that we serve is well able. Let's just be real mindful.
That's right.
They weren't surprised in the telling of the story when the presence of the divine met them in the fiery furnace. It's Nebuchadnezzar that was surprised. And when he looked in there and saw it was three of them and the fourth one,
And a fourth one.
and the fourth one, and that they were dancing up a blue street in the middle of the fire. But
That's
the point is that, according to the writing, they believed it before they experienced it.
That's it.
that's right.
Now we may die today, but we'll still win.
That's right.
That's an interesting kind of faith in
It
this
is.
time.
That's right.
And I made a note to myself. I said, you have to stay in the work, stay in the struggle, and envision the end as a win, even if you die before it happens.
That's right.
That's
That's good.
that's what it means to live by faith and not by
Mhm.
sight.
That's
To
it.
live by faith. Where are the believers tonight? Where are the people who really believe in the thing that we hope for? Hoping is one thing. Believing, listen to this prophet while she's talking tonight. Listen to
Yes.
Gina. Hoping is one thing. Believing is something else.
Yes.
It is going to come. Even if I expire before it happens on earth, I have a whole other place where I'll be, essentially. There's a whole other elevation where I'll be, and it will come to pass.
And it will come to
Real
pass.
faith has to, real faith where you trust and go to the doctor, where you believe that I cannot depend on the doctor as the only healing that will come for me.
That's
Right.
You trust, and you take your vitamins, you trust,
right. Hmm.
and you go for some walks. You know what I mean? You trust
Mm.
and you do the best you can with what it is you have to work with. But your confidence suggests that these things coming together as a package in my life will bring me to a life that is my best and highest self. Somehow or other, faith has got to be something more than reading the news in the morning and 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 scheduling your day based on what it says.
That's right.
Faith has got to be something else, that no matter
Yeah.
what you have heard, no
Hmm.
matter what people are saying, no matter what kind of negativity is in the air, that my grandmother said, God wins. She said, and the devil gets nothing.
That's right.
I said, now that's a mighty powerful statement.
That's right.
God wins and evil gets nothing. At the end of the day, good wins,
That's right.
Yes. Good
and evil
wins.
and evil gets nothing. That's what she
And I
said. And
and
I'm
I love that.
on to it too. God bless.
It's so good. This is so good. This is so good. I know that we're running out of time. We have 3 questions. I want to just, from the audience, I want to make sure we get to those 3. We already have them. And so one of the questions is, would you explain the beautiful face markings you are wearing on the book cover? Are they of African origin? And if so, would you talk about the connection between this sound work and indigenous African practices?
I the markings were guided by the spirit that I walk with, Grace. And so I know could see that they were tribal markings, and I feel a deep and profound kinship with the people of Rwanda. Everywhere I look, somebody looked like my grandmother, and so I have wondered about that connection. I will say that sound is ancient. Sound is the drum. Sound is voices joined together. Sound is the medicine man in the village coming to sound into the body to chase disease out of the body. Sound is the didgeridoo. Sound is bells, and sound as a healing modality has been around since time. And so certainly where everything began in Africa, you will find all kinds of rituals and practices where life began around sound. But my connection to sound comes from this spirit of grace that has been with me since I was 5 years old. I tell that story about how I was guided to hum and to tone into my being for grief that was much too big for my tiny body, and also for the harm that my tiny body received. Toning and sounding helped me to create a site of rest, of respite, to make my body a site of freedom. My spirit, my soul, I felt free inside. And so no matter where I was, because I couldn't control my surroundings, my spirit felt well. um, it felt cared for. And so that's my connection to sound. And of course, moving through my missionary Baptist with a little bit of holy roller praise thrown in from the mothers, teaching me how to dance, how to shout, how to praise, how to sound, how to wail. And so that I cannot speak to African spirituality. Those are not traditions that I'm anchored in. I have some knowledge of Lukumi, some knowledge of Yoruba, some knowledge of Ifa, but not enough to share and guide people toward those rituals. But I have many beloveds who are steeped and anchored in these rituals, and they're powerful and beautiful and absolutely involve singing and sounding and praying and other tongues. So that's my response to that.
Thank you for that. Here is another one. It says, I was watching a funeral for an official in Nairobi, and the people in attendance mourned loudly and demonstratively. It invoked feelings of sadness, yet it felt as if it sat you in the lap of God. How much of mourning is worship?
Mm.
All of mourning is worship to me, I have to say. I mean, it's worshiping, it's honoring, it's connection, it's allowance, it's a letting. I think that where we get caught is in this room of where we've been told that we're not allowed to mourn, right? We're not allowed to weep or wail. And as I shared earlier, and I'll just speak to my own experience, my father absolutely said, I'll give you something to cry about. And I understand my father's story. I know where that came from. He was trying to take care of me. He was trying to protect me. And I don't blame him for that. In fact, I don't stay with his story. I stay with what his words and how they impacted my ability or inability to express grief. So I caretake myself in that moment and I honor my father's story, but I don't follow it. I stay with myself. And when I allow myself to mourn, it absolutely is glorifying. What I know God to be, what I know grace to be, loving and mourning. I feel like it's the same gesture. I'm reaching and I'm releasing, and I'm honoring.
Thank you. And then we have another one. I think we answered this question, but I'm going to ask it, and then you tell me how you feel about it, Gina. How can we use the ritual of vibrational healing energy to help shift the paradigm of harmful constructs in society and even in our personal lives? I kind of feel like we've been talking about it the whole time, but
We have,
yeah.
and it is. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So I know that we must caretake ourselves. We must turn inward and stay inside of our rituals. I don't think I have not met the magical place called I don't have any more work to do. I don't have any more practices to do to be well and to be embodied. I believe that practice and ritual are going to be forever a part of my a part of how I stay well, a part of how I stay embodied. And so, the leaning into the rituals in the book, toning into your body, practicing the affirmations, practicing embodiment, practicing soul retrieval, all of these things help us to reclaim and be with ourselves and therefore bring it into the world, you know. But it can happen simultaneously. It can happen while we're in practice. It must happen while we're in practice.
I want to thank you. I'm going to let you have something last to say, and Bishop Flunder. But before I do that, I'm going to hold the book up again
Thank you.
because this is a gift. And when you receive this gift, I see you, E. Marcus. Minor key harmonies used to make me sad. Now minor key harmonies draw love out of me. Amen.
Amen.
I want to say happy birthday to Natasha L. Robinson, celebrating her 50th birthday today as well. I want to say that this is important because this is a gift that's been given to us. And I just feel impressed to say that this is a gift that you should be sharing with someone else. Like, this is how rich this is. Like, not because I know her, not because Bishop Flunder knows her, but because there are things here to help us move forward in love, in grace, right? So many rituals in this book, things you can do, so many affirmations, things you can say,
Mhm.
daily practices, Bishop Flunder, that people can get into. Because if we're going to heal anything, we got to heal ourselves first.
That's it.
If we're going to heal anything, if we're going to heal the world, we got to heal us first. Again,
Ah,
we've
so
been saying this over and over and over again. I need us to hear this. And again, you can win the book, Charis Books. You can purchase the book. I want us to purchase. I want us to feel the spirit enough to say, I'm gonna gift this book to myself, but I'm also gonna gift it to someone else. I hope you can do that for me. I'm gonna let Bishop Flunder and Gina have last words.
go ahead, sis.
Thank you, beloved. I'm just so profoundly grateful. It feels like too small a word for how I'm feeling and buzzing and thank you for the gift and the grace of being with you. And I was thinking of a song by Ricky Byers, which is Trust Love, and her line, "Love will have the final word." Love will have the final word, and I believe that fully. And I know that we're in the process of a new world. There's a breaking down, and then there's a new world emerging, and we get to be a part of it and shape it with our mind and our sounds and
Mhm.
our intention. So that's how I'm living and feeling, and I'm grateful to you both, and I hope I get to hug you in real time soon as well. Thank you.
So there is a song, Bishop Vanessa, I was thinking about that the old saints used to sing, particularly back when we did not have in my grandparents' age and such sometimes access to doctors who we could go to and we could see. Uh, we were not allowed in certain hospitals and circumstances and such. And so, the saints had concoctions and things that they would put together, and sometimes, but I think that they had also a basic understanding in the spirit to go to God and pray over the concoctions, but go to God to do some. So they sang a song. It's God stays in my room. God stays stays in my room, and God gives me all my medicine in my room. And it says, God stays in my room. God stays in my room. For God is my doctor. Writes out all my prescriptions, and God gives me all my medicine in my room. Hallelujah.
Let me tell you what. I can hear Mother Miller,
Oh, she was
and I
back
can hear Gina.
Yeah, they was back
And I'm telling you that we're fixing to create something that's incredible before it's all said and done.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can hear Mother Miller that low. I can hear it. I know she over there singing. She tell Mama she can't get away, and then I can hear that hum that Gina was doing on top. Come on now, listen.
I see the hand.
I am
Pulling up that
grateful.
contralto. You heard it, didn't you?
That's right.
I
Right.
don't never miss it. I am grateful. And I just tell you, this is just so powerful because just the tone, the vibration, like, you know, I need y'all to go back and listen to this. Just go back and listen to it and share it with somebody and then get to the end. Don't let people watch it without getting to this very end of it. This song, and listen for the vibration, listen for the frequency, and then be still for your healing.
Yes.
Because it's all right here in this conversation. It's all right here. Okay, let me let this go. This is so good. I am grateful for all of the people who have joined us tonight. I want to make sure that we do these 2 announcements, and then we're going to do the book giveaway.
Yes.
From the blues to hip-hop, African Americans have driven sonic innovation for more than a century. While styles have changed, there's one sound that's remained constant, a source of strength and courage, comfort and wisdom. Gospel.
That's a little bit of gospel.
Gospel music is soul. Gospel music is R&B. Gospel music is funk. It's hip-hop. Gospel music is the full spectrum in terms of its sound of black music and beyond.
Mahalia Jackson, what was special about her voice?
She believed every word she was singing, and she wanted you to believe it.
Preachers have style, right? Gospel singers have style, right?
Black style in music and preaching is similar because it allows black people to believe that they can survive a bit longer. My mother had gone to New Bethel Baptist Church. Theo Franklin would preach and then Aretha would sing. Oh my God, if you ain't got the spirit then, you dead.
The sermon becomes the song. The song becomes the sermon.
God, we ask that you would reinvigorate somebody.
It's almost as if there's a soundtrack in a church setting.
Amen, brother. That was beautiful. For generations, gospel music and preaching have formed the bedrock of the black religious experience.
The sound still connects people. The sound still gathers people.
Ain't nobody do me like Jesus. Ain't nobody do me like
These astonishing art forms, carrying an enduring tradition, continue to evolve.
Do you think there will always be gospel music 100 years from now?
I don't see how we can thrive without gospel music.
That's right.
I say it's going to always be there forever.
Listen as we tell the story of how a people learn to sing the Lord's song in a strange land. This is the powerful story of gospel.
God bless you tonight. I am so grateful for this conversation that we've had, that I already know that the healing balm of the presence of our loving God is blessing us all over this country and world. I'm encouraging you this evening, to support the broadcast for the Gatekeepers over this country and world. Support the broadcast by giving via Cash App at $TFAM annual, or through PayPal at www.paypal.me/TFAM Justice. Again, Cash App to $TFAM annual, or to PayPal at www.paypal.me/TFAM Justice. If you want to see us continue to do this work, and I know you do, help us financially, all of us, because all of us will be blessed. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Bishop Flunder and Gina. And so you all have been waiting for this tonight. I told you to put hashtag Beyond the Gatekeepers. It's on the screen so you can see exactly how you can win the book. Hashtag Beyond the Gatekeepers, all one word. And we're looking for a winner tonight. And so, Pastor Sue, will you do us the honor? Our winner tonight is Chella Belcher. Congratulations, Dr. Chella Belcher. You are the winner of the Vibration of Grace, Sound Healing Rituals for Liberation. Thank you so much. Please put your address in the Beyond the Gatekeepers messenger, and we will make sure we retrieve that message and get it out to Gina Breedlove so that her staff can make sure that the book is sent out. I want to thank everyone tonight, particularly Gina and Bishop Flunder, for engaging in this wonderful conversation. I want to thank our listening audience on all the social media platforms where we can be found. And we just say thank you, God bless you, and do have a wonderful evening.